Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Baccarat Zone. Today, we are going to discuss recognizing support and resistance in congested markets. Recognizing support and resistance in congested or range trading markets. Before you, what you see before you is a sheet that I take into the casino. This is an 11 by 17 sheet that I take into the casino. You don't need an Android, nor do you need a laptop. So you guys who think you need the high-tech technology, you really don't. You can print this out on 11 by 17, or you can, I just made this up. Basically, I made this up in Word. So you can make it up. You can print it out on 11. I got 66, 63, 64, something like that, 60 something plays going across. You can see right here at the 0 line, I got 26 plus 26 going up. And below the 0, I got minus 27 going down. So you know below the 0 is player. Anything below 0 is player favorite. Anything above 0 is banker favorite. Just to bring you up on things. So if you got this sheet sitting in front of you at the casino, and you shouldn't have no problem bringing a sheet in the casino. They don't fear people with sheets. They fear people with calculators and Android phones and shit like that. But anyway, you take the sheet in, and let's say the first hand is let's say the first hand is banker. So the banker, you go up 1. You go down 1 on player, up 1 on banker. And the second hand is player. The next box, you come down 1 on player. And let's say the next 4 hands are banker. Then you 1, 2, 3, 4. And that just should give you some type of idea. Player comes again. Player comes again, you got to pull back, and then banker runs up again. 1, 2. I'm just giving you all an example of how I use the sheet in casino. So you should very easily see your support and resistance at the places that need be on the sheet. This is just an example. Of course, I don't think your sheets are going to look this sloppy. This is just, you get the idea, point I'm trying to get across. You don't need an Android or a laptop at the table. We get so caught up in the technology today, we forget how to go into manual mode. That's what I call it, manual mode. So now that you know how to use this sheet, I'll place a download link where you can download this particular sheet, or you can just make your own link, but I'll make it easy for you. Not your own link, but your own sheet, but I'll just make it easy for you where you can have a download link, and you can download this sheet. Okay, let's get busy. Identifying support and resistance. One way you can identify your support and resistance is, let's do this. Draw a zigzag up and down on your pivots. So that's a pivot, 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 pivot. And when you're drawing your zigzags, it's easier to see the support and resistant lines on your chart. And if you practice this, you'll get used to seeing support and resistance without any hesitation, without having to draw your zigzag line. This, we have an indicator in the charting software I use for stocks and Forex and stuff. It's called the zigzag indicator. And that's all this line is doing, is the zigzag indicator. But what it does is it helps you see areas of support and resistance. So you immediately see resistance right here, support right there. Resistance, support, support, resistance, support, support. It just helps you train your eye to see areas of support and resistance. Wherever there's a pivot, that's usually where your areas of support and resistance are. You get the idea. And also, you get to see your market structure. Now, with your market structure, you know that's a lower low, lower high, that's a higher low, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, got higher low, higher high compared to the last high, higher low, got lower low here, lower high here, higher, that's actually a lower high, that's right, lower high, higher high, higher low, and so on. You just want to train your eye, so when all this stuff is not on the chart, you'll get an idea of which way this market is trending, if it's in a range, which we're going to talk about this range right here. That's a very small, tight range. This is the kind of range that you sit out and wait for it to break to the downside or wait for it to break to the upside. Okay? This is a very tight range right there. Okay? But you get the idea. You're just training your eyes. And I'm so used to it. I've been looking at charts for 30 years. So long as I've been looking at charts, I really don't need to draw the market structure anymore, because I can automatically look at a chart and tell what the market structure is. But it just basically, having to draw this, the zigzag, and draw your market structure, it just trains your eyes. Eventually you'll stop drawing that stuff, and you'll be able to say, is this market in an uptrend, is this in a downtrend, or if it's trending sideways. Okay? That's an easier way to tell. Another easier way to tell is always go back to, if you're not drawing lines, you can always go back to the last pivot. You can tell this pivot is lower than that pivot, but it continued to go, rolled over and continued to go down, so you know that's a lower high. See that line right there? That's a higher high than the previous pivot. Just go back to your most recent pivot. That's another way to distinguish between market structure. It's a lower low. That low, you just go back to your last pivot, wherever the swing point is. And swing points are nothing but hills and valleys. That's all they are, hills and valleys. Top of the hill, bottom of the hill, top of the hill. We're gonna call that flat land. Haha. Bottom of the hill, top of the hill. That's the bottom of a hill, top of the hill. Flat land. Flat land is when it's ranging. Bottom of the hill. That's the top of a hill right there. And so on and so forth. That is how you can distinguish between hills and valleys, support and resistance. Support and resistance. That's an easier way to do this, and the reason why I keep stressing is just to make sure, because I can't assume everybody can see it the way I see it, but I want to make sure everybody who's watching these videos or is trying to understand what's going on is understanding the market structure. Because once you understand the market structure, it's off to the races. Then you'll start to formulate some type of betting strategy in these little tight ranges if you chose to do so, or on a breakout. And we'll discuss betting ranges inside and outside of the support and resistance. Okay? All right. On to the next chart. This particular chart right here was submitted to me by Dan. Shout out to Dan. I think he's very enthusiastic about this just as much as I am. And he submitted a couple of shoes just so he can get a better understanding of exactly what's going on. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out, and we're going to start out by drawing a zigzag. Start out by drawing your zigzag. That way you get a thorough understanding of where your support and resistance is. You'll automatically know if it's in a range or not. If it's trending, if it's chopping, that's what I call tight ranges. I call that chop mode. Okay. Now this is a tight shoe right here. Let's look at a range. Let's see if we can outline the range on this. Range looks to be starting right about right here. Okay. Zoom out of that a little bit just so we can see that. This shoe right here is a very tight range, but there are strategies that you can use to get inside of this range. You're not looking for a run inside of a range. You're only looking for 1 or 2 hits at the most, depending on how big the range is. I call it, in trading, I always say to myself, how much meat is on the bone? If there ain't no meat on the bone, don't go for it. If you got a tight range, here's a tight range right here. Up one, down one, up one, down one. That's a very tight range right there. If you got a tight range like this, if that range gets to be that tight, sit on your hands. Not unless you see something and you think you can exploit it. Me personally, that's not enough for me to take a chance. I would either wait for a breakout to the upside or a breakdown to the downside on that, that's exactly what it did. That's exactly what it did. We got a confirmation on the breakout right there. Okay? Now, let's talk about something here for a minute. How do you know how strong support and resistance is? That would be my question if I was sitting here watching. How am I going to know how strong support or resistance is? You know what I do? Let me erase what I got on the board and let's look at this. That's from hand 13 up to 55. Do you know what I do? I pay attention to how many times it hits that spot. Okay. I call that, if it hits it once, that's minor resistance. Anytime it hits it more than once, I say, okay, it hit it twice and came down off of it. Or hit that particular, we're looking at 0. It's hit it twice and came down off of it. The next time it go up to 0, I'm going to take a shot and bet player. There it is. It hit 0 right here. Boom. You got your pay or play. It hit 0 right here. You lost that play. It went up right there. Then it comes down with a confirmation right here. So possibly you got that and you got that. If you went for 2 in a row, you're not going to get a lot out of a tight range. Hit it once here, hit it once there. That's all. When you get into a range, and this is betting off of resistance, same way goes for support, but we'll do support on the banker side. Right now we're player advantage, so we're going to do player. We're only going to look for player since we're on the player side. We're below 0, so we're only going to look for player. One way that I trade in a range is, let's look at this, look at it this way also. Once it comes to that resistance for the umpteenth time, or not the umpteenth time, but the third time, just start betting player every hand. And I see a run right here. We're going to talk about that run. We're going to talk about that run. Because when you're betting in a range, you're not going to catch the almighty run. Oh, how we would love to see 20 in a row, 15 in a row, or even 10 in a row. But when you're in a range, until it breaks out, your goal should be what? Maybe 5, 6, maybe 7 ticks. Not ticks, I'm thinking E-mini. 7 units at the most. So if we waited for the third time and just started betting player from this point on where that tie is to the end of the shoe, and let's say our goal is, let's say 6 units or 7 units, even 4 units, because look how late it is in the shoe. You're at hand 30 already. You're at hand 30 already. So you're at hand 30, and in this tight range, we didn't know, of course, you're not going to know how long that range is going to last. until it breaks out of major resistance or major support. Okay? So I would start betting player every hand, and I would use a negative progression: up one when you lose, down one when you win. Let's just say mandatory one. Okay? So let's do it like this. That's a tie bet. There's a player right there. You're betting one. You win that bet. Next hand, you bet player. That's a 2. You lose that bet. Next hand, you go up to 3. You lose. You win that bet. Or you lose that bet. This hand right here, you win. So you're at a 4 right here on this player. Let me erase that. Let's erase that. You lost a 3 bet. You go to a 4 bet. You win that bet. Go to a 3 bet because you're coming down by 1. You win that bet. A 2 bet, coming down by 1. You win that bet. Next bet is a 1 bet. You lose. Next bet is a 2 bet. You lose. Next bet is a 3 bet. You win. Next bet is a 2 bet. You win. Let's see how far we've gotten so far. We're +1, -1, -4, even, +3, +5. So far, we're +5. Up until right here, we're +5. Am I right on that? +1, -1, yeah, -4, even, +5. Yep. So far, we're +5 units. So, at +5 units, and this is the perfect time to bring this out. Every time I talk about this particular, or do this particular thing, there was a lady, I cannot think of her name. Every time I think about this, she implemented what you call a trailing stop. I bought a system for her back in the 90s. It was a system that basically tracked. It was some type of trending system. And she implemented what you call a trailing stop. And she had a trailing stop of 2. Listen to this. So when she got in a plus, or got a certain amount in a plus, she was trailing by 2. So being at a +5, if you're trailing by 2, if you get to that +3, you're done. Because she went 2 back. She wouldn't go no further or no more than 2 back. That was her, that was how many units she locked up. That was how many units she locked up. So we had +5, +4, +2, +5, +6, +7. Right here, we're at +7. Now, how many units you want to lock up depends on you. I can't tell you how many shoes I have been to the good, let's say 10 units. And because it was not enough by the end of the shoe, because a run like this right here will take all those units back if you're betting some type of negative progression. There's a way to deal with that, though. The way to deal with that is a trailing stop, like I'm showing you how to implement here, or have a target. So you're +7 right here. If you got a trailer of 2, then when you get to +5, you're done. You got a trailer of 3, when you get to +4, you're done. Okay? So that's +2. You got a 1 bet here, you lose. You got a 2 bet here, you win. You got a 1 bet here, you win. Now you're at 7, 6, 8, 9. Now you're at +9. +9 right there. And what I do is just constantly bet player until you hit a target. You might have a target of 10 and a trail of 5. I don't know. Depending on whatever you decide your target in your trailer is. But once your stop is hit, leave that shoe alone. That's the hard part. Easier said than done. Been there, done that too. I have had many shoes +10 and ended up being -10 or -20 by the time the fucking shoe is over. This is where the discipline comes in, ladies and gentlemen. This is you want to play Baccarat professionally and be consistent. You have to abide by the rules you set. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I get to a +7, I'll probably stop playing if I'm in the casino, right? Go to the bathroom, take a bathroom break, come back, wait for the drink lady to walk by, ask the lady for a drink, and by the time you finish watching the action on the table, that shoe is over. You probably got your whole 7 locked in. I don't know, but those are the kind of tactics I pull for myself. Easier said than done. Let's continue betting on. +1, got a 1 right here, you lose. Got a 2 right here, you lose. 3, you win. 2, you win. 1, lose. 2, win. 1, lose. 2, win. Got a 1. You eventually came back down to a 1. You won on that. Now, let's say you're at 9, 8, 6, 9, 10, 11. Right here, you're at +11. 10, 12. Right here, you're at +12. 11, 12, 13. Right here, you're at a +13. Then you're at a +14 right here. How much you want to win in that? How much you want to win in that tight ass range? How much you looking? Because now this right here, the most I would probably bet up to is you bet up to the area of resistance or down to the area of support. So you see resistance right here starting at -1. So either you hit your target or you're going to bet at the most up to this particular area right here. And let's say you got a trailing stop of, let's say, 3. Give you guys the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say +3. So if it gets back to +11, you're done. You have hit a target of +14, betting only player going up 1 when you lose, down 1 when you win. It's all kinds of ways you can play that negative progression. Okay? You never bet beyond a progression that's going to take you past your stop. So if you're saying you're going to do a negative progression going up and you know you only got 3 plays, my logical thing would be just to bet 1, 1, 1. because you only got 3 plays going up to resistance. So divide that evenly. You have 1, -1 there, -1 there, -1 there. You're done. Because right here is the breakout. You might catch them last 3 plays. Maybe. Maybe. This was the whole shoe that I had got submitted from Dan. So I'm assuming he quit right here. But Dan, now you see. Now you see exactly how to handle a range. Now you see how to handle a range. Let's look at your other shoe. But that's the lesson in handling. That's the lesson in handling a range. Okay? He submitted 2 shoes. Let's go to his other shoes. Okay. Let's continue on. Let's continue on. First thing we're going to do, we're going to do our zigzag so we can see where support and resistance is. Zigzagging, looking for support in major areas of support and resistance. Of course, this shoe is already completed. But as you're in the middle of a shoe, if you have problems seeing your, is this the same shoe? This is the same shoe. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Bear with me for a second, ladies and gentlemen. Got to pull that shoe. Pretty sure I made a copy of it. All right, let's rock and roll here. Okay. So, zigzagging. Looking for your areas of support and resistance. Use your manual zigzag indicator and draw your areas of support and resistance. And then that way you get to see, you see where your tight ranges are immediately. You see where your resistance is. You got the resistance right here. Support, it broke right there. Nice run down. Of course, I don't start betting until I get to hand 15 to 20, but just trying to give you guys an example of, you know, when you're looking at charts, You don't know when that opportunity is going to come. Yeah, you can start betting at hand 8 if you want. That's on the individual. I'm just showing you how to ways of pointing out support and resistance. You got support right here, which looked like that has become major support. Broke down once. Got resistance right here. Major resistance. It was established right here. Then you got tried once right there. Tried again right there, broke out. Then try it right here. Now I'm gonna tell you something about ranges where you only got two and three plays. Those are very tight ranges, and unless you decide to bet zigzag action, I don't like playing the ranges. I just sit aside. I'm a more of a breakout guy than a range trading guy. I like to see. I wait till the train, as I tell my partner, I'm gonna wait till the train starts to leave the station before I get on. I'm not gonna get on the train and sit and wait for it to leave. I'm gonna wait for it to start to leave the station. Right? Here's where it starts to leave the station. Right there. False breakout. False breakout. But like I said, if you like playing ranges, every time it hits that area of resistance, play it one time. You're only risking one chip. You're risking one chip and a possible run to the downside to see if it's going to keep going. It costs one chip, or not one chip, one unit. It costs 1 unit to find out. Okay? So that's, this is a very tight range right here. Very tight range right here. Okay. Got resistance right here. Little resistance. I call little resistance, like I said, I call it minor resistance when it's only been established that one time. Minor resistance. Then notice you got higher lows. And notice it's going up, starting right here. Higher highs. Higher low. Higher high. Higher high. Higher low. Higher high. That becomes, I call that's all of a sudden at +1, that's major support. Major support right there. Major support. So, just giving you an example on the last chart and this chart. If you decide to bet ranges, that's how you handle ranges. Ranges can be very hard, but being on the player side, let's look at that real quick. Let's see what happens. That's starting at, let's say, roughly 11, all the way up to hand 50. This almost looks similar to the second shoe. The first shoe we looked at. Like the last technique I showed you, constantly bet player. And constantly bet player because you're on the minus side of 0. Okay? Let's play it out. Let's see where we end up here. Okay. Second time here, you got 1 right there, you +1. You have 1 right here, you lost. A 2 right here, you lost. A 3, you win. A 2, you win. A 1, you lose. A 2, you win. Or 1, you win. Another option is once you get back down to that 1, you might want to consider stop. You might want to consider stop. And I remember reading that on one of the many systems that I have. You might, once you get down to 1, you might want to consider stopping. Let's see where we're at. That's even, -2, +1, +3, +2, +4, +5. Right here, you're +5 already. Let's continue on. 1, you lose. 2, you win. 1, you lose. 2, you win. 1, you lose. 2, you lose. 3, you lose. 4, you win. 3, you win. 2, you win. And back to 1. And 1, you win. So you're at +5, +4, +6. Right here, you're +6. +5, +7 right here. And you're at +7 right here. +6, +4, +1, +5, +8, +10, +11. By the time you get back down to +1, you're at +11. Money management can get real funny depending on what your target is, what your trailing stop is. If you implement a trailing stop, you might just want to keep betting. I don't know. I usually enter a trailing stop on my stuff. So at least so you'll walk away with some units by the time that shoe comes to an end. Now, the discipline comes in. Say like if your target is 10 units on a shoe and you hit 10 units within the first 25 hands, 30 hands, that means you got to sit still until that shoe finishes. Now if you're playing online, you can very easily go to another shoe, but if you're in a casino, take a bathroom break, go get a drink, whatever your preference is, then come back to that table when the shoe is over. And the average shoe, if I'm not mistaken, the average shoe in a casino is roughly 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how fast the dealer is. I want to say roughly 45 minutes to an hour. That's what the average shoe lasts. So if you hit your target early in that shoe, you probably got about, say, roughly a half hour to burn if you're in a live casino. If you're online, it's very easy to go to another table and pull a new charting sheet out and boom, see what's going on. And didn't want to get into money management, but that's how I play with a trailing stop, whether it's going to be 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, whatever you're going to trail by, try to stick to it. And once it comes back and hits that trailer, or once you hit that target, you're done. You're done for that shoe. Not unless you want to continue on playing. That's on the individual. But it's hard. I get it. It's hard to be up 10 units and you're at hand 30, which means you got another 40 hands to go. It's on the individual, depending on how you want to play that range. And I always, one thing I'm starting to learn, and you're learning something new every day, practice your ranges, because the breakouts are easy. Shit, man, the breakouts are easy. They're going to be easy. You see a breakout and you catch a run and you're up in 1 as you win or up 2 as you win, whatever your breakout strategy is or progression is, you're going to make a killing real quick, especially if you catch something like a nice 10 in a row, whether it's player or banker. And if you're looking at these kind of charts or this kind of chart, and you catch a 10 in a row, majority of the time, you're going to catch that because of the way you're reading these charts. The majority of the time, you're going to catch that run because of how you're reading the charts, because most likely a breakout is going to come at, let's look at this right here. We got resistance right here. Well, no, that's not even a run, but that's resistance right there. So you got resistance right here. And a lot of times you'll see, I don't know why he stops at hand two. I'm suspecting this is a stadium play. I don't know if he was sitting at a stadium, because I noticed online and when you're playing stadium, they cut you off real early. You don't have that many plays on Steam Play, even though they say they might be playing with 8 deck. They're like fucking cutting the shoe in half. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. In stadium play, you're not going to see 80 hands or 75 hands. I have yet seen that. But back to breaking support and resistance. Let's go find a shoe where you're breaking support and resistance. But yeah, this is when you're betting in a range. This is range trading. You're on player side. When it's hitting the top of that resistance, bet player. Now you can pull a counter trade or a counter play, that is. A lot of times a counter play is when it's hitting that support, bet the banker. Support, banker. Just got established right here. So you caught that, you would have lost that, depending on what you're looking for. You notice it got reestablished again right here. Bang, you caught 2 right there. If you was playing a counter trade. Counter trades are tricky. I'm not gonna get into that in this video, but that's what you call a counter trade or counter play. I'm gonna call it counter play. We're in a Baccarat shoe. That's a counter play. So let's get into another shoe. I hope we find some ranges. See if we can find some ranges today. This particular shoe, by the way, is basically here's perfect breakout. Perfect breakout. Got resistance right here. Establish support. Boom, breakout. We're at -4. So -5, yes, breakout. Then you got another tight range right here. And when you realize you're in a tight range like this, don't waste your time. Not unless you are betting some type of negative progression and you're looking for a quick pop. You're looking for a quick pop. Now, with that being said, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, this is these 3 right here, player, bank player, that is the thumbtack, correct? So I thought. I think that's called the thumbtack. Yeah, if you're looking for some type of particular pattern, bet that pattern. And this is the kind of range where those patterns pop up. I'm familiar with BFX patterns. I definitely was into him. You got a player, banker, player. You're looking for a banker. That's a thumbtack. Player, banker, player, banker. And notice it's zigzagging back and forth. After you hit that banker, player, banker, player, banker. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's the thumbtack. So yeah, there are all kinds of patterns that you can use. There are all kinds of patterns that you can use when you're in a trading range. Now, with that being said, let's look at this. You're in a tight range here. It's tight range. And look at the support right here. Support and resistance. Bang, 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 bang. Since you're on the player side, that's your confirmation right there. Caught that, caught that. And the first time, usually when I catch a breakout, and anytime it pulls back, I'm done. I'm done. So you actually would have just won 1 unit right here out of those 3 plays. If you're flat betting, win, lose. You're up 1 unit at that time. Notice right here, it goes up to support. All of a sudden, support became resistance. I'm not going to get into that right now. It sounds confusing, but support became resistance. The banker went up there, turned right around, got a confirmation on the player right here. Boom, that's your play right there. But it turned around right here. Notice also, that is a higher low. So now we got a transition that's turning to the upside. Keyword, transition. We are transitioning to the upside because now we have a higher low, which is not established until after that banker comes. And look at the resistance being broke right here. We made higher high, resistance, broke that, which this resistance right here, what is that? Minus 6. Minus 6 was broken to the upside. We got higher lows, higher highs. Okay, right here is resistance. Look at that resistance. Look at this. Higher lows. Or if you go back to the last, that's a lower low. But when you're looking at that pivot right there, that's a higher low. What made me go back and look at this one instead of this one? It's obvious. Once you come down here, this is your next area of support. That's your next area of support. Like I said, you guys are probably going to be able to pull off some trades on the stocks by the time I finish with this, because these are techniques that you use in trading, whether you're trading on the daily charts or whether you're trading on the minute charts or range charts, whatever your fancy is when it comes to day trading and scalping on charts for stocks and commodities. These are techniques that you're using. It's a tiny bit difference, but it's the same. A chart is a chart, is the point I'm trying to get to you. A chart is a chart. Okay. So you got support right here. You got resistance right here. There's another higher low. And now bang. There's your break right there. If it breaks that, it's gone. And that's exactly what it did. It broke that. Boom. It's gone. You could have continued to bet bank as long as it didn't violate this area of support right here, or area of resistance. This resistance became support. You see, it made a higher low right there. You could have continued to bet bank throughout the rest of that shoe and came out ahead. Just playing the breakout and betting bank continuously. Bet one, up one when you lose, down one when you win. however you want to do it. You can go up one when you lose, and if you're more than, I think there was one rule I saw, if you're more than +5, then you come down by 2. So you're up 1 when you lose, you're down 1 when you win, but when you get to +5 or more, you come down by 2. You follow me? So let's play that out right here just to see where that would have taken us. Here's the breakout. So you're constantly betting bank. So you got 1. Give me my pencil over here, squiggly line. +1. +1. Now you're +2. You're betting 1. +3. You lose this one. -1. Right there, you bet 2. Right here, you bet 1. You lose. 2 bet. You win. Then you got 1, 2, 3. They're all losers. Then you got a 4, 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 3, 2, you lose to 2, 3, you win, 2, you win, 1, you lose, 2, you win, 1, you lose. And that was up to the last hand. So right here you're +2, +3, +2, +4. You're +4, correct. Right here, +3, +5, +4. You had +4 right there, losing 1, -2. You had +2. You had -1 right here. That's what I was talking about, letting that shoe go negative. That depends on the individual. And then you're so far into the shoe. Do you even want to risk going negative going into that shoe? That depends on the individual. So you're -1 right here. Then you got a 4, so you're +3 right here. Then you're +6 right here. +4, +7, +9, +8, +10, +9. By the end of the shoe, you're +9. Wow, we're an hour into this already. Okay, we will continue this on the next video. Welcome to the Baccarat Edge. We're going to get more into betting support and resistance. I definitely think this is one of those subjects. This is one of those subjects that need to be talked about. This is definitely one of those subjects that need to be talked about. How you keep trend of a Baccarat market. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because not everybody, you got a lot of people say, well, statistically, you're only supposed to see a run of 7 in so many shoes. Let me tell you something. When you're playing real time and you're playing real money, all of those statistics go out the door, because now all of a sudden you're seeing a run of 8 or a run of 9 in the first 2 hands, and then 5 or 6 plays later, the perfect in this shoe, you got a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got a 6 run here. You got a 6 run here. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5 runner here. Can you imagine how much you're down if you're looking for banker and you're not tracking the trend this way? Because if you was tracking the trend this way, you would not be betting banker going into that player run, which I have probably done many of times now that I see how how tracking a trend this way, you're seeing support and resistance. And we're going to get into that in the next video. Welcome to the Baccarat Edge. Thanks a lot. Press the subscribe button. And don't forget to download. Don't forget to download the sheet in case you want a sheet. I'll place a link right below the video. And you can download this sheet so you can play in a casino, or if you just want to use it at home for practice, it's up to you. But you'll have access to this sheet. This is 11 by 17. You can make it for 8 by 14 or 8.5 by 11 if you want. And you guys take it easy. Thanks a lot.